The Jersey Shore, 130 miles of coastline, the most schizophrenic stretch of beach in America. You can drive 40 minutes and go from a town with a Methodist tent city to a town where houses cost $16 million, to a town where a guy in a Yankees jersey is trying to fight a seagull over a slice of pizza. Today, we're covering the best beach towns on the Jersey Shore by what they're actually good at, category by category, and you are going to disagree with at least 3 of these, so make sure you're ready to leave me a spiteful comment under this video. Let's go. We're starting out by going hard, the best beach town for partying, and Belmar takes the cake. Belmar is what happens when an entire generation of North Jersey 23-year-olds collectively decides that they have figured out summer. They've figured out how to share a 4-bedroom rental with 12 people, sleep on futons, and lose $600 at Bar A on a Saturday. And they're doing this every weekend from Memorial Day to Labor Day until their liver files a missing person report. The lineup is legendary. DJs on Ocean Avenue, a Jersey Shore institution that operates as a nightclub where everyone is wearing a tank top and a chain. Bar Anticipation, known to every human being who has ever set foot in Belmar as Bar A, with a dance floor that has seen things no one should ever see. The share house culture in Belmar is a real economic system. 12 people splitting a house that should sleep 4. The math shouldn't work. The bathroom situation certainly shouldn't work. The mattresses on the floor situation shouldn't work. But somehow, every summer it does work because everybody is too sunburned and too hungover to complain. The beach itself is solid, long, wide, lifeguarded. Nobody knows this because nobody who goes to Belmar makes it to the beach before 2 p.m., and by then, they're rehydrating with what they will tell you is water, but is obviously a vodka soda in a Yeti. Belmar is where you go in your 20s. If you're in your 40s and you're still going to Belmar every weekend, with respect, see someone. Next up, we're hitting the best town for surfers in Jersey, and it's Manasquan by a long shot. Manasquan Inlet is, no exaggeration, one of the best-known surf breaks on the entire East Coast. The inlet was dug in the 1920s, connecting the Atlantic to the Manasquan River. The jetty setup turns the inlet into a wave machine. Surfline describes it as the northern equivalent to the Sebastian Inlet down in Florida. With the right swell, it produces a steep right wedge that breaks long and clean. Hurricane Bill in 2009 brought swells so big that professionals from all over the world showed up. Pros from Hawaii flying to New Jersey to surf an inlet between a Coast Guard station and a town named after a Lenape word for either stream of an island or place where Vinny lost his keys. Nobody is really sure. And here's a bonus. Recently, sandbars have formed inside the inlet itself, and surfers were actually surfing inside the channel on rideable waves between the jetties. The Army Corps of Engineers had to dredge it because boats couldn't get out. But for a few weeks, you had people surfing inside the channel of a working maritime inlet. That sentence sounds illegal, but isn't. If you don't surf, Manasquan is also a great beach town overall. Solid downtown, classic shore Main Street, perfect amount of chaos, but the surf is what makes it famous. Next up is the best town for families, and it's Ocean City. Ocean City is a dry town. That is their entire pitch, and it works. Not one bar, not one liquor store, not one place to buy a beer on this island. They've been dry since 1879, when a group of Methodist ministers founded the town as a, quote, moral seaside resort. They literally looked at the Atlantic Ocean and decided this needs less fun. Normally, I would roast a town for this, but for families, it actually works. You can walk the 2.5-mile boardwalk at 9 o'clock at night with your 6-year-old. And the worst thing you're going to encounter is a guy in cargo shorts who paid too much for a funnel cake Nobody is doing shots. Nobody is throwing up next to a stroller. There's no bar at the end of the boardwalk where some guy is explaining cryptocurrency to a woman who is just trying to leave. You've got Playland's Castaway Cove, Jillian's Wonderland Pier, water parks, Manco and Manco Pizza since 1956, Shriver's Saltwater Taffy since 1898, and 8 miles of beach. You could lose your child for 40 minutes and they will still be on the same beach when you find them, probably eating sand and feeling fine about it. The catch is that every adult in Ocean City has figured out exactly where the Strathmere line is, and they're driving over it at 5 p.m. like the Berlin Wall just came down. The parents have a system. The kids think they're getting ice cream. The dad is hitting a liquor store across the bridge. If you have kids, this is the answer. If you don't have kids, what are you doing here, weirdo? Now we're going to hit, in my opinion, the most underrated, Ocean Grove. This place is perhaps the strangest yet most charming town on the entire Jersey Shore, and most people in this state have never set foot in it. Founded in 1869 by a Methodist preacher named William Osborne, who looked at this stretch of the shore and said, "This is where God wants us to put 114 canvas tents." And he was not kidding. There are still 114 canvas tents up there every summer, surrounding a 6,000-seat wooden auditorium built in 1894. People live in them from May to September, and there is a 10-plus year waiting list to rent one. People are dying so their nephew can get a tent on Pilgrim Pathway. Ocean Grove is a National Historic District with one of the largest collections of Victorian architecture in the United States. The whole town looks like 1885 hired an interior designer and just stopped updating. And it's a dry town too, but unlike Ocean City, Ocean Grove is dry because of God, not zoning. The beach didn't even open on Sundays until a courtroom forced the issue. And here's the part that makes Ocean Grove great in 2026. This town has quietly developed into one of the best little restaurant and coffee scenes on the shore. Days Ice Cream since 1876. Odyssey Coffee in a converted 1905 bank building. Beautiful bed and breakfasts. A half-mile boardwalk with 0 commercial stands. Just wood, ocean, and your thoughts about whether you've made good life choices. You can walk from Ocean Grove into Asbury Park in minutes. So in one morning, you can have coffee in a Victorian tent village founded by Methodists, then walk across a footbridge and be in a town where Bruce Springsteen is probably eating a bagel. That's the whole state in one walk. Next, the best for people with money to spend, Mantaloking. This is a place where the money is so old that nobody in town has ever looked at a Zillow listing in their life. The houses don't list. They get passed down, cousin to cousin, grudge to grudge, like an HBO show, but with worse personalities. A regular house here runs you $2 to $5 million. A new oceanfront build recently hit $20 million on a beach lot 105 feet wide, which is essentially personal ownership of the Atlantic Ocean. Summer rentals, when they exist, hit $50,000 a month. You could put a down payment on a house in some parts of Ocean County with that money, but here you get one singular month. There is no boardwalk or commercial strip. If you want a real restaurant, you have to drive to Bay Head, which is where the people go when they want to slum it. Social life happens at the Mantaloking Yacht Club, where the sailing is competitive and nobody will explain the rules to you, because if you don't already know the rules, you do not belong there. And they would like that to be very clear without actually saying it out loud. Mantaloking is not about the beach. Mantaloking is about being so wealthy that the ocean shows up to your house and not the other way around. Next, the best boardwalk, and we're taking Wildwood. Wildwood is criminally insane, and I love it. The boardwalk is 2 miles long, and it's one continuous assault on every sense you have. Deep-fried Oreos, deep-fried Snickers, deep-fried something that definitely shouldn't be deep-fried, 3 separate amusement piers with roller coasters that go directly over the ocean, tram cars that have been threatening pedestrians since the 1960s with a recorded voice that just says, "Watch the tram car, please. Watch the tram car, please," until you hear it in your sleep for the rest of your life. The town itself is a collection of doo-wop motels from the 1950s and 60s, plastic palm trees, neon signs shaped like rocket ships, names like the Caribbean, the Starlux, the Pan American, the largest concentration of mid-century commercial architecture in the country, and half of it is held together by paint, prayer, and a maintenance guy named Ray, who is 74 and not retiring. In season, Wildwood might be the most American place in America. 2-mile boardwalk, free beach, families from Philly and South Jersey, teenagers up to nothing good, and a level of energy that 90% of American downtowns would kill to replicate. Is it tacky? Absolutely. Is it kind of falling apart? Maybe. Is it the best boardwalk on the East Coast? Also, yeah. Don't fight me on this. Next up, with the best restaurants in downtown, we have Asbury Park. This is the best restaurant scene on the entire Jersey Shore, hands down. For most of the 80s and 90s, Asbury was a punchline. The place was actively rotting, with buildings boarded up, the boardwalk falling apart, the whole downtown looking depressing. That town is gone. Asbury came back in a way that almost no American town comes back. Cookman Avenue is now an actual main street with vintage shops, independent restaurants, record stores, art galleries, and good bars. Pascal and Sabine for French. Tallulah's for pizza that costs more than your shoes and is worth it. Cardinal Provisions for brunch. Rayla for Mediterranean. Asbury Festhalle and Beer Garden for when you want to drink a stein of beer the size of a small child. The Stone Pony has been there since 1974, and 5 minutes away, the boardwalk has undergone a complete revitalization and is now packed with crowds. The people here are a real mix. Rock and roll lifers who never left, young families who fled Brooklyn rent, day trippers from everywhere. Somehow it all functions. Asbury Park is proof that a town can die, sit dead for 30 years, and come back with a better personality than it ever had. Next, the most beautiful, and we're going with Cape May. This town was a vacation destination before the country even fully existed. By the mid-1800s, it was the most fashionable beach resort on the East Coast, hosting presidents, Southern plantation owners, and New York money that traveled with a household servant. Then in 1878, the whole downtown burned to the ground in a single fire. Most towns die when that happens. Cape May rebuilt all at once in the late Victorian style that was popular at exactly that moment, which is why the whole town looks like it was designed by the same architect on the same weekend. It basically was. 600 Victorian buildings, painted ladies in every color of the spectrum, gingerbread trim, wraparound porches, widow's walks, the whole works. Congress Hall Hotel has been operating since 1816. The Cape May Lighthouse, 157 feet tall, lit since 1859, still working. Sunset Beach at the southern tip, where you can watch the sun drop directly into the Delaware Bay while standing on a beach that has Cape May diamonds, which are not actually diamonds, but quartz pebbles, but everyone calls them diamonds because Cape May is the kind of place that gets to do that. There's also Poverty Beach at the northern end, named that because, and I'm not making this up, that's where the servants and poor people were sent to swim because they weren't allowed at the nicer parts of the waterfront. And in 2026, Poverty Beach is now one of the best beaches in town because nobody knows about it. If you bring someone to Cape May and they're not impressed, you need new friends. Next up, mixing in a wild card, we have Sea Isle City. This is the shore town that lives in the cracks. Not as polished as Avalon, not as touristy as Wildwood. It's just there doing its job, and the people who go to Sea Isle every year are not interested in talking you into it. The promenade replaced the old boardwalk after a 1962 nor'easter destroyed everything. It's a paved walkway about 1.5 miles long, runs along the beach, lined with shops and restaurants. The public beaches are wide and clean. The bayside has the marina scene with dock bars and boats. And then there's the nightlife scene, which operates on a frequency only Philadelphians and South Jersey people can hear. The OD, short for Ocean Drive, is the spiritual center, a bar that has been packed every summer night for decades. There are bars that have been there forever, that everyone in Philly and South Jersey knows, and that nobody outside that orbit knows about at all. It's a self-contained universe. Sea Isle is a Philly town the same way Belmar is a North Jersey town, and the two populations basically never meet. What makes Sea Isle great is what it doesn't have. No yacht club gatekeeping, no condescending boutiques selling $50 bottles of olive oil, just a shore town that knows what it is. People go to Sea Isle and they go back the next year. That's the whole report. Finally, we're hitting Long Branch. Long Branch is a historical heavyweight, and most of the country has no idea. This was the first major beach resort in the United States. By the 1860s, Long Branch was the place. Ulysses S. Grant summered here as president. So did Hayes, Garfield, Arthur, Harrison, McKinley, and Wilson. Long Branch was called the summer capital. There's still a 38-acre park literally named Seven Presidents Oceanfront Park. James Garfield was shot in Washington in 1881 and brought to Long Branch in hopes the sea air would save him. They built a special railroad extension specifically to transport the dying president from the train station to his cottage. He died in Long Branch on September 19, 1881. The Garfield Tea House on the museum grounds is built from the wooden ties of the railroad line they laid for him. Pier Village opened in 2005. It's a mixed-use development on the site of the old pier, apartments, shops, restaurants, a boardwalk, and it works. McClune's Pier House for casual, Avenue and Sirena for fancy. The beach is right there. And in the West End, you've got Max's famous hot dogs since 1928 and Windmill Hot Dogs, two of the most beloved Jersey dog spots in the state, in a rivalry that has been going on for almost 100 years. Long Branch is the proof that a shore town can be 300 years old, host 7 presidents, burn down, get forgotten, and come all the way back. That's the Jersey Shore in one city. So there it is. 10 shore towns, 10 reasons to go, none of them seaside heights. If your town didn't make the list, that's because I had to make choices. See you this summer.